All right, let's be honest. Have you ever just kind of assumed you're average looking? You've told yourself that since women aren't, I don't know, throwing themselves at you, you must not be all that attractive. But what if that entire idea is just wrong? What if you're missing signs that are staring you right in the face? Well, we're going to dive into that.
Think about this for a second. What if the most attractive guys out there often have no clue how much they stand out? And the reason is they just don't get how female psychology actually works. This is like a massive blind spot for so many men. And to really get a sense of how big a deal this is, research and, just simple observation, it all points to a staggering number: 90%. 90% of men completely miss the subtle, indirect signals of attraction from women. Just let that sink in. That means 9 out of every 10 guys are walking around with a faulty radar, and it's causing them to seriously underestimate their own value.
So a huge part of the problem here is that we've basically been conditioned by all the wrong stuff. We're all expecting the Hollywood version of attraction, right? The bold moves, the super obvious compliments. But the reality? It's way more psychological. It operates on a totally different, much more subtle level. We're talking about positioning, timing, energy, not just what's being said out loud.
Okay, so why? Why are these signals so subtle to begin with? It's not just random, not at all. It's actually rooted in a really fundamental psychological conflict. And this is the psychological engine behind it all. It's called the approach avoidance conflict. See, when a woman is attracted to you, she feels this pull to get closer, but at the exact same time, she feels a push to back away, to avoid the risk of rejection or, looking too eager. This internal tug-of-war is literally the engine that creates all the subtle signals we're about to break down.
What this really means is that every single signal she sends is designed to test the waters. It's a way to show interest while keeping what's called plausible deniability. She's trying to figure out if you're interested without having to put herself completely on the line. And I'm telling you, once you understand this concept, it changes everything.
All right, so now we know the why behind all this. Let's get to the what. We're going to break down the actual observable evidence, the stuff you've probably been missing this whole time. This right here, this is the code.
So much of this starts with the eyes. And look, we're not talking about just a polite, brief little glance. We're talking about a held gaze, one that lasts just a split second longer than normal. That's what creates the connection. Then, you might notice her eyes keep coming back to you. Even if she looks away, the second you catch her, that return glance is a huge indicator. And then there's the pro move. She positions herself so she can watch you out of her peripheral vision, kind of studying you without being obvious about it.
And this whole dynamic, it's not just with the eyes, it spills over into physical space. Women can be incredibly strategic with proximity. They'll create these little orbit patterns where they're always finding reasons to be near you. You might notice she suddenly has a manufactured task to do, like she just has to grab something right next to where you're standing. Or maybe even more directly, she'll just integrate herself into your social circle, joining your conversation. Trust me, this stuff isn't accidental. It's very intentional positioning.
Okay, now here's a signal that almost everyone misses. Your attractiveness isn't just reflected back at you by women, it's also confirmed by other men. How other guys react to you is an incredibly powerful mirror of your social status.
And you'll see this play out in 2 main ways. On the one hand, guys who are high value themselves, they'll treat you with respect, like a peer. They'll actually listen when you talk. They'll include you. But then you'll get the other reaction. Other guys might get competitive, or even try to kind of push you out of the group. Now, don't misread that negativity. It's actually a compliment in disguise. Think about it. They wouldn't see you as competition if they didn't also see you as a real threat for female attention.
All right, this next one is wild because it's purely subconscious. And it is so powerful. When someone is psychologically tuned into you, their body will literally start to copy your movements, and they won't even have a clue they're doing it.
Here's how you'll see it happen. You lean back in your chair, a second later, she leans back. You touch your face, she'll touch her hair or her face. And it's not just about copying specific moves. It's also about energy. She'll match your energy level. If you're calm and relaxed, she'll calm down too. If you're amped up and animated, her energy will rise to meet yours. It's her brain's automatic way of trying to build rapport and connect with you.
So, if all of these signals are out there, why aren't you seeing them? Well, the reason usually isn't about what's happening on the outside. It's an internal perception trap, one that's messing with how you see yourself.
And this right here, this is a huge aha moment for a lot of attractive guys. It's a psychological principle called baseline adjustment. Basically, if you've been getting positive attention your whole life, respect, interest from people, your brain just recalibrates. That special treatment starts to feel totally normal. It becomes your new baseline. And because it feels normal, you don't even notice it as a sign of your high value anymore. It's just life.
And to make things worse, we pile on this other problem, upward comparison. See, you're probably not comparing yourself to the average guy in the room, are you? No, you're comparing yourself to movie stars, to models, to these totally idealized versions of men you see online. It's a completely flawed comparison, and it's always going to make you feel like you're coming up short.
But look, the good news is this is all completely fixable. Recognizing the signals, that's step one. The next step is to build real confidence from it. So let's talk about the path to getting some accurate self-awareness.
Now, it's super important we're clear on the goal here. This is not about building some massive ego or becoming arrogant. That's just a major turnoff. The real goal is to develop a realistic and accurate perception of yourself. That way you can operate from a place of quiet, genuine strength.
And you can put this into practice right away with a pretty simple 3-step toolkit. First, just start consciously observing the signals we've talked about, and don't dismiss them. Second, track the patterns. One time might be a coincidence, sure, but a recurring pattern, that's data. And finally, use that data to calibrate your confidence. Adjust it to match reality, not that old distorted image you had of yourself. And this really gets to the heart of the whole thing. Real magnetic confidence, it's not about needing other people to praise you, and it's definitely not about comparing yourself to others. It comes from genuine self-knowledge, from truly understanding the impact you actually have on the people in the world around you.
So, I'm going to leave you with this question. You've basically just been handed the key to decode a language you didn't even know was being spoken all around you. So now that you have the code, what are you going to start noticing?
If this explainer opened your eyes to a totally new way of seeing things, make sure you subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden psychology of attraction and social dynamics. There's always more to learn. Until next time, start paying attention.